literature,
Pages.
authors,
Reading things. The Book of Dad and Sybil.
Hello and welcome back. This is Dad.
and this is Sybil.
So in this week, as we mentioned in our Mrs. Pepperpot episode, we are looking at another Grimm's fairy tale. It's got lots of different names as we've looked it up. So we've got our version was Six Men and How They Got On in the World, but there's also
6 Soldiers of Fortune.
or six go through the whole world. I think they're all fairly misleading, and I don't think that either of us really expected what was going to happen in this story based on the title. Not that the titles necessarily ever give anything away. I mean, think of some of the others that we've done, like The Mouse and the Bird and the Sausage.
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park, which is
Jurassic Dinosaur Time.
Yes.
Park.
Yeah, that's
Dinosaur.
that. Yeah,
Park.
we've started prepping that episode, but that'll be after our little summer break. But of all the Grimm fairy tales is what I was talking about. Of all of those episodes, I think we've done. They've all been fairly nebulous in what their title could mean.
7 kids. No.
The ghost.
The
and
wolf and the 7 kids.
Yeah. So, can you start us off with our story, Sybil?
Right. So we start off with this character that we'll add some more to that.
We've made a name for him.
Yeah. He was a disbanded soldier. Meaning the place he was fighting is no longer fighting.
Yeah, so his regiment's been disbanded, so they're not fighting at that present time. There's no war for them to be in, so he's kind of just on the wander.
So it doesn't really tell us the name of the character, so we have thought to give him the brilliant name of, actually I didn't come up with this, Dad did, called Character Smith. And he wants to be powerful, so he needs to find the king.
Yeah.
King emoji.
Yeah, Sybil's done the notes for this one.
Emojis.
And had fun with emojis. So we've got a little king emoji for your imagination there.
Off he goes into the forest and he meets a lumberjack. I'm pretty sure it's a lumberjack. It's just trees.
Yeah, that's
Very strong.
yes. He's a very, very strong lumberjack. He basically just pulls the trees out of the ground.
He's Hulk.
Yeah, we're meeting Hulk. So we're going to meet quite a few characters here, and there's a little bit of a...
Kinda like what I did in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, we recently we watched the first Lord of the Rings film, and
Really good.
yeah, we really I've seen it lots of times, and but Sybil fairly early on made the comparison
Gandalf,
between
Dumbledore,
yes, the comparison between
Frodo,
Gandalf and
Harry
Dumbledore.
Potter.
Yeah, and as we kept going through the film, we started to get more and more spurious links between the Lord of the Things and the Harry Potter.
The Goblin.
The Goblin.
The Cave Troll, the Goblin.
The cave.
Remember?
You mean the cave troll?
Cave
The
troll!
cave troll and the actual troll, I think, was what you made the comparison with. Yeah.
Yes, not the Goblin.
Troll in the dungeons. Thoughts you ought to know.
Yes.
So yes, Sybil loves to make a sort of analogy last as long as is humanly possible. So after, basically, he wants somebody strong to help him. Does Character Smith?
And from here on, we have a classic getting the team together type of story, like the Avengers and...
And I thought of Ocean's 11. My guilty pleasure in films is getting the team together. We got to get the team together. We're getting the team together. Hey, you want to join the team? One last job. No, man, I was out of that game. I ain't going back. And then the team gets together, and this one's everybody's got a specialty, and so that's what made me think of Ocean's 11.
And you'll see a very, very specialty.
Yeah, some of their specialties are incredibly niche.
What does niche mean?
Niche, as in it fills a very small kind of gap in the market.
What?
So niche, as in something that wouldn't be useful in a lot of situations for us. So next we meet a huntsman.
Very good.
Yeah, he's shooting.
I was shooting a fly's eye.
Yeah, very impressive. And so obviously character Smith goes, yes, lovely, you can be on my team. I'm sure that there is a need for that. No, actually, he's not my favourite character because the next two characters are even weirder. But this is one of my favourite of the team. We meet a blower. He's called a blower. So when Sybil was the first to read this and she asked me, she's like, what's a blower? And I thought, oh, maybe a glass blower. But no, this man,
Blows.
he blocks one nostril, blows out the other nostril, and from 2 miles away can power 7 windmills. That's huge. Oh no, don't snot on my laptop. That's hideous. So yeah, he's just known for literally blowing things. So blocking one nostril and blowing out. Imagine that as when we're going to see him take down some enemies with that later on. Take down. Okay, so who's next, Sybil?
So the next character is a runner. He's taken off his leg. Otherwise, he's fast as the fastest bird.
Yeah, I think that's pretty severe. Well, it's just laying next to him. So I think we're talking magic legs because he's able to just unhook the leg and leave it off. And then hopping, he can still be as fast as possible.
Yeah. So the next sorry. So maybe this is so he gets a decent competition whenever he races. We thought.
Yeah, potentially. I think maybe he's so fast.
That's boring.
He's a little bit bored. He wins all the races super easily, so he's given himself a bit more of a challenge with just one leg.
So then we meet our last character, which is my favourite because it's just so out of this world and just pointless.
Yeah. I really struggle to know. You can kind of see reasons for the other people being useful on this team. But this one...
The strong one.
There's the strong one.
The fast.
The
Flash.
The huntsman who's good at shooting. There's a runner who's really fast. Even the person who blows really hard out of his nose, you can imagine that there's sort of a use for that.
What could that be?
What? Which character is? There's an X-Men character called Banshee, and he kind of screams really loud, and it creates sound waves, and he can use them to fly.
Imagine me watching that movie.
So I imagine that could be sort of like that if he blew out of his nose. So maybe he can create air flow so hard that he can fly. The last guy that we meet, character Smith goes up to him and he points out that he goes, "Why are you wearing your hat like that? You look like a tomfool." That's Tom-fool, which I'm a teacher. Yeah, my name is Tom, which is good. I'm a teacher and I like a really low stakes, old fashioned insult to lighten the mood in the classroom, and tomfool might be my next one.
Wait, what?
So like calling somebody a numpty. Don't do that, you numpty. Oh, come on, you tomfool. They can't be called Tom though, because then that just sounds like I'm calling them a fool, and that sounds worse than tomfool in my head. Yeah, lovely insult, very mild. But this man, the hatted man, tells Smith that, oh well, if I put this hat on properly, then a great frost will come across the earth and all the birds will die. He specifies that the birds will die.
What about the people will freeze?
Yeah, I think everything will freeze. So he's got to wear his hat tilted so it only covers one ear.
How about you just don't wear the hat?
You could just not wear the hat. Maybe if he doesn't wear the hat, there's a consequence as well, but that's not discussed. But yes, he can only wear the hat covering one ear. So the gang's all together. What happens next?
So with the gang complete, I mean, in my head, I just imagine the Avengers, but swap out all those characters who's fighting big villains.
Yeah.
To a blower, a really strong person, a huntsman, basically Hawkeye.
Yeah.
What's the other one?
The Hat.
Runner.
There is a runner, there's Flash.
And then just the Hat.
The Hat. My name is Jimmy the Hat.
So they go into town where the king has said that anyone who wins a race with his daughter would be her husband. And they'll get like all powerful in that, which is like
That's the
the
aim.
main motivation.
Yeah. The aim for our... I don't know. We've not really talked about this because our disbanded soldier doesn't appear to have any powers to speak of. He seems to be quite
He's
good
just a guy.
He just seems to be quite good at making friends.
Yay.
He's quite good at being
friendly.
quite good at being personable. So he's got 5 superhero friends now.
I mean, all he said to her is like, "You
Hey.
shall be my servant."
He did say that to the lumberjack. That's a bit weird, especially because the lumberjack can rip. I don't think I would ask anybody with that position. I mean, I wouldn't ask anybody that anyway. But if somebody was ripping trees out of the ground in front of me, I wouldn't be like, "Hey, you work for me now," because they would just turn around and go,
He's just like,
"No."
boink on the head with the tree.
Yeah, be smushed. But yeah, he basically just says to all, "Do you want to be on my team?" And he doesn't really seem to have much of a clear plan. He just wants to go and find the king and be powerful.
Be all powerful on that.
Yeah.
Alright, so they lose in the race. They will get their poor head chopped off. Just why would you even go? I need to know how fast this girl is.
Yeah, you'd want to see some form. I think it says that she's quite fast for a mortal later on in the story, doesn't it? So she's a fairly fast runner.
Well, there's someone immortal in it then.
Well, I mean, one of those characters, magic characters, could be immortal.
The frost guy, the hat.
Could be the frost guy with the hat.
No, it's the hat.
For some reason, the king also says, well, fair's fair. If you win, one of my servants gets his head chopped off and he'll run the race as well, which I don't really get. It feels like that's a bit harsh on the servant. Yeah, I don't want to do that.
I don't want to get a servant's head chopped off.
So what do they have to do to win the race?
Well, they need to race to a well and then collect water from it, and first return is the winner. And I think, even if she was really slow, I think she'd still win, because I don't know how to work a well.
Oh yeah, put us modern people in there and we might be a bit scuppered. So the runner is going to race on behalf of character Smith.
Yeah.
So they, just to be safe, they pop his other leg back on so he can be super fast. And it looks, this next part of the story looks like it's going to be a fairly run-of-the-mill torch and the hair type story, because he shoots off to the well really fast, halfway back, he's feeling the fatigue. And so he lays down and he goes to sleep. And he's got an excellent method of...
You just walk.
Yeah, you could walk. You've got that point. But he goes, no, I simply can't. My body's stopped working. I'm going to stop. But he goes, well, in order to help me wake up, I'm going to sleep with this horse's skull as a pillow, which will help me wake up.
What if you don't need to be beheaded because you have rolled over in your sleep? The cat. And what if it's... What's a male cow called?
A bull.
A bull. What if it's a bull?
Well, we're talking about a horse's skull.
Oh, horse.
A horse, not... Yes. No horns on a horse, unless it's a unicorn.
Unicorn! Yeah, so what if the unicorn's horn goes into his head?
That would hurt.
Yes, hurt.
Yes. So he's asleep. The princess comes across him while he's sleeping and goes, great! He's already collected the water by this point, but she pours all of the water out of his pitcher and trots off. Luckily, Hawkeye the huntsman has seen all of this from the castle tower.
Wait.
Go on.
Another reference.
Go
Yeah.
go for it.
Alright, so character Smith.
Yes.
He's Captain America. He's the leader.
Okay.
Because Captain America doesn't really have
He's definitely got powers.
He's really strong.
Super strong, super fast. He's got that super soldier serum. You remember he was very skinny Chris Evans, and then he was incredibly buff Chris Evans.
I don't know which one I liked best.
They're both kind of the same personality, aren't they?
Yeah.
So luckily our huntsman spots this from a distance and goes, "Not today," and he shoots. He does some fancy shooting with his gun, and he shoots the skull out from underneath the runner's head, and then his runner's head falls onto the floor. Oh, and he wakes up. He then
I don't think I'd wake up.
yeah.
I won't.
No, you sleep pretty
Are you
heavily.
but in the first place? I wouldn't even be going to
Oh
sleep.
no,
No matter how tired I was.
no.
I'd crawl the rest of the race.
Yeah, unless I actually physically passed out, because as a motivation goes, not getting my head chopped off is pretty up there.
Yes.
And luckily, because the huntsman has intervened and woken the runner up, he still beats the princess pretty handily because he's got magic legs.
Yeah. Okay, so the king and the princess are pretty upset at being beaten. Oh wait. Will one of the servants had to get chopped off now?
Oh yeah, this isn't mentioned in the story, but because they've lost, I suppose one of the servants is going to get beheaded now.
Or maybe they're just like really sore losers.
I mean, they're definitely sore losers.
I'm a sore loser.
I would really hope if
Every game, I get so competitive, and every time I lose, I get mad. So as I said, really.
they were really hacked off that they'd lost.
Yeah. So they decide to trick the six men by locking them in an iron room.
So this room has
And
iron walls, iron doors, iron floors.
I think it'd be pretty sketchy for some reason.
I don't know
really
why
like it.
why you would ever have that room in your castle, unless it's for what they're about to use it for. So what are they about to use it for?
So basically there's lots of food on the table, but then after a while they start getting a bit hot. So cut scene to underneath the iron room. Fire.
The chef has been told to light a massive fire underneath the iron room, and the plan being that they will essentially cook the six men. At this point, I don't know if they know that anybody has powers, but I feel like the king could just say no. But anyway, I think the king had this installed at some point, but never had the chance to use it. And it was like, finally, I'll get to use the iron cooker. Okay, I'll get to use the iron cooker and I'm going to cook these guys up. Okay. However, our superhero to the rescue, Jimmy the Hat, how does he solve
Puts
it?
his hat on.
Puts his hat on properly.
Yeah, but wouldn't everything outside the iron room also?
Yeah, I think maybe the iron room
The
holds
iron stops
maybe it holds in the magic.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a bit of a leap here. Also, I think after 2 hours, the king goes in to check on them and finds them still alive. But all the food on the table has frozen solid, yet the six men have not frozen solid.
But they need to get out to get warm.
Yeah, they're like, oh, a bit chilly in here. Could you let us out, please? And the king goes, okay, right. Basically, if I give you loads of money, will you go away and leave my daughter? And our character Smith goes, yeah, no worries.
All he wanted is power.
Yeah, and so he goes, yeah,
All he wants is money.
that's fine, give me some cash. And he says, I would like as much cash as my servant can carry. Now,
Servant.
remember, we know that his servant is the lumberjack who can uproot whole trees with his hands. So the king doesn't know this.
Like reeds.
Yeah, pulling them up of the ground like reeds.
Actually, reeds are quite hard to pull out of the ground.
And that's some tough roots. So the king goes, yeah, sure, sounds fine. How much can one guy carry, really? And so character Smith goes off and gets all of the tailors, all of the clothes makers in the land to make him a gigantic sack. Because he knows that this lumberjack can carry loads. So the lumberjack goes to the castle and he goes, all right. The king goes, why is that guy carrying fabric the size of a house on his back? Who is he? And it turns out it's the lumberjack. He's here for the money. So the king has prepared a ton of money, which, if he has prepared a literal ton of gold, a normal person couldn't carry that. But maybe the king's just thinking he's going to keep giving little bits of gold until the person can't carry it, at which point that's the decision. But they put the ton of gold in the giant sack and it barely even covers the floor. And it ends up that the lumberjack takes almost the entire wealth of the kingdom, which is he's then pretty angry. So what goes on next?
Right, so next, the king, really mad. He sends 2 regiments after him.
Yeah, so a group of soldiers, 2 regiments, 2 groups of soldiers. To get the money back.
Yeah, because otherwise there's not enough money.
Well, no, you have essentially destabilized a kingdom by taking away all of its cash, which I actually think that the king shouldn't. Maybe here's a crazy thought. Maybe the king shouldn't have created a competition where he was essentially letting somebody come and win a race to be his wife's husband. That would have been a great place to start not doing any of this.
Alright, so this is where Dr. Nose comes in.
Dr. Nose, he's there.
Dr. Nose.
He basically, I can't remember the exact line, but he has a "you and what army" sort of response when the regiments of soldiers go, "Stop, you must return, you are enemies of the land." And he goes, "Enemies of the land, are we?" And it's
one-liner.
Maybe it's meant to look more noble than it sounds, but then he just covers one nostril and blows out the other, and he blows these soldiers into the sky. Weird detail, but there's one guy that he saves, which is a sergeant, and they specify that he was a sergeant. He had 9 wounds. Okay, so he's had 9 wounds from this, and they save that soldier because they basically he was a decent fellow and did not deserve any of this pain. So there's a couple of things.
So we've got 9 wounds from this.
I think so. Well, he's basically been blown up into the cat. Maybe he's hit some trees on the way up. I don't know. But they've managed to ascertain somehow that this bloke, this sergeant, is, of the 2 regiments of soldiers,
decent.
He's the only decent chap there. So they're like, hey, we'll let him live. He can go back to the country that has no money. So then the king hears this from the sergeant and goes, guess I can't do anything against them, and he just gives up. And I imagine his kingdom, he's not being a king for much longer, is he? That land is in turmoil. Yeah, so yeah, and that's where our story wraps up. Basically, we get a happily ever after for our six men. When we first discussed this ages ago, we reckoned that the 6 men would go off into the world, going their separate ways, we thought, and meeting sticky ends.
They joined to make the gang.
The Grim Avengers.
Yeah. The Grim Gang.
The Grim Gang. They have destabilised an entire country's economy and just gone to retire with all the money. So they're essentially the baddies. They're the baddies in a Marvel film, but they're successful baddies.
So the king's the good guy? Who's the good guy in this?
I don't think there's any good guys, because the king's also been a bit. He's tried to kill them, hasn't he?
No, the Hat's the good guy.
The Hat. Oh, Jimmy the Hat is the best.
Yeah.
Is the best guy.
Yeah.
Because he could create an eternal winter.
He doesn't.
But he doesn't. He wears his.
He's the Frost.
He literally looks like a numpty all the time to save humanity. That's noble. So
for our next episode, we've got something special.
Got a very special guest. We've got Dr. Ernest Finkel joining us to discuss a range of children's literature. Really cast much more of an analytical eye than either you or I can give.
Yes.
So it'll be a little bit of a different episode. We'll be looking at a few different texts in detail with the good doctor.
In detail.
And after that episode, we'll be taking a little break before returning with our second long read, which is Jurassic Park, which we're in the process of prepping. But
I left it, and now I can't finish it.
can't quite finish it. But as we mentioned last time, we're going to split that into 3 episodes, and just so we give it enough, we've got enough time to prep it. It's going to have to wait till September for us. So we're we'll see you on the next episode with Dr. Ernest Finkel. Goodbye.